There we are. I have picture. Hopefully, I have sound as well. There, we're back. Okay. Here we are. Today, I'm having a little trouble with tactile function in one of my hands, so I'm not going to paint. Instead, I'm going to base some miniatures because I have things I've almost got done painting and I need a nice little platform to put them on. So we're going to work on those today because it doesn't require my hand to be steady. And I ain't got that today. But we've got something to do. So let's get to that. I've already started with one of them. See if I can get some. There we go. A little zoom. How is the sound? Anyone out there hearing me? Am I too loud? We'll see how this works today. I had some serious technical issues before I started. Right as I was about to begin, I tore the tightening knob right off of this boom that holds onto my phone that is the camera for my stream. So I kind of superglued it all together, and hopefully the MacGyver to my MacGyver works out for today. And I'm going to go try and find something to replace this boom with this week so that I've actually got a way to continue doing this because I don't want to stop now that I've gotten it started. So, right, we're going to work on some urban ruins, different bases, and if we've got a little time, I will take scrap bits of plastic from sprues and chop them up and glue them down to make cobblestones because this makes really cool looking bases as well. All right. So I've already started on this one. And the white stuff is just plaster of Paris. Take an old baking pan or an old plastic lid to something, fill it up with plaster of Paris, let it set, and whack it on the countertop. And suddenly you have rubble, all kinds of rubble. And these are just ruined bits of mechanical stuff from the Void War set of bases from Games Workshop. And I'm not using them all on Void War bases, so I might as well throw some of them on my ruined urban garbage bases. Here is another thing I do every time I clip something off of something else that's made of plastic. I save it. I throw it in a box, and stuff like that becomes basing material. and it works excellent for that. And let's see, a little jerry can, chunk of a drum. I mean, I've got all kinds of just ruined crap. And of course, sprue, which is one of the most useful things you shouldn't throw away. All right. And we've also got all kinds of other little things to use for basing. Everything from sand, slightly larger sand, gravel. It all works really nice. Just take the biggest stuff, glue it down first. I've been using super glue. Ooh, excuse me. And then we've got, everyone should have a bottle of skulls. I have a bottle of skulls. Lovely decorations for bases and miniatures and all kinds of stuff. Just throw a couple skulls on it and it's a little more grimdark. I love it. So let's just start with some stuff and start gluing it down. That's kind of a nice texture there. That does not set smoothly enough. Take a file to this for a moment. Doing this off camera because I don't want to jostle the boom that I've got so precariously bolted to the table here. It worked out well for a little while, and yeah, a little tightening, and I just snapped that right off. Oh well. There we go. That gives it a nice little angle, sets a little flatter. I hope everyone's doing all right today. Don't seem to have any chatting going on, or maybe that's just me. It is kind of hard to see what I'm doing with this cell phone. Still working on getting a computer. I'm hoping I can change that very soon. And then maybe I can get a camera. There we go. Got one piece fixed down. No, that's too much. go. I found a tripod that I'm going to try. Hopefully that will hold on to my phone a little bit better and still be able to kind of crane over and see onto what I'm doing for you. There we go. Oh, excuse me. Nice thing about this stuff is you can take the larger pieces and just kind of break them up. There we go. Scar it up a little more. Welcome to anyone who has shown up or started watching. Normally I would be painting, but sometimes you've got to put your miniatures you've painted onto bases. And also I'm having a little trouble keeping one of my hands still. So I'm going to base miniatures today instead of paint them. So I'm just starting with chunks of plaster of Paris, the largest things I will put on the base first. And this is just Gorilla Glue's super glue gel. Oops. So there we've got two started. another one of these down a little bit. Gets a little thick in some spots, and I don't want to stand everything up super high on the base. Hey, good morning, Powdered Toast Man. I'm glad you showed up. Here we go. And yeah, I'm just taking a file and knocking a little plaster off of each of these so they sit nice and flat. And so they're relatively even. It kind of depends on the footwork of some of the miniatures you're going to set down on there. Sometimes you want one a little higher than the other, but you can always put a little green stuff under it or a little extra glue. Hey, Bella Lagrisi, how you doing today? I'm glad you could join us. How's the sound? Ugh. And yeah, rubble out of plaster of Paris is so easy to make. You just pour it in a pan or something and let it dry and smack it on the countertop. Blam, you've got rubble. Excellent. It's amazing the quality of sound I get out of my cell phone. I'm actually kind of shocked. There we go. And let's do another one. Hopefully, I should have a nice uninterrupted stream this time because my wife is actually home and there's someone to watch the cats. So I won't constantly have somebody coming in here and demanding attention. Not that that's always a problem, but they get into stuff. Hell, they get into everything. There we go. Ah, the wonderful noise of filing plaster. At least it's easy. It's not like you need anything terribly aggressive to go through plaster. Oh, okay, hand, come on now. And if you get a little blob of glue that sticks out or something like that, no bother yet. We are going to cover all of that stuff up, because this all goes on in really neat layers. Like I said, start with the biggest stuff first. Now that we've got a few of these started. And then just add junk from there. And I got all kinds of junk. I've got even other rocks. Like, I haven't even tried these. Let's see. Oh, let's see if I can open these without having a complete breakdown here. No, of course, they made these packages completely child-proof. How in the hell? Well, it's certainly not going to come open during shipping, because I can't figure out how it opens here. There we go. Well, I'm either opening it or I'm breaking it. Wow, all this work for little pieces of cork. Oh, hey, the little tab that says open. I bet you that might help. Oh, yeah, that was much easier. There we are. These are kind of neat. Extra shapes and sizes. Very light, of course, because they are cork. And then, now that I know how to open it, I got the Army Painter Battlefield Razor Wire. Because what Battlefield does not need some razor wire? And I also kind of thought this stuff looked a little like rebar. And that's what I am going to use a little bit of it for. But I'm certainly going to make a coil or two of razor wire. kind of neat. On this one, I have already started a couple of holes here because I thought some of this razor wire might look cool in that. Very tiny. Oh yeah. I will take a couple chunks of that. And it's all right to have a nice blob of glue on there because it's kind of going to plug up the hole a little bit. There we go. Way too much glue there. That's all right. At this stage, we can just wipe it on something and it doesn't really matter. There we are. And then all I did to do that was take a little tiny drill in my pen vise and there we go. Let's try one more chunk of rebar. Barrymore, good to see you, brother. I'm glad you could make it. Hand is a little unsteady today, so I'm going to base miniatures instead of paint them today. So I've just got chunks of plaster of Paris that I've started to glue down to bases to make runes. Urban Junk. Where did I set that tweezers? There it is. Let's make this one kind of bent. There we go. I hope everybody is doing well and having a relaxing weekend so far. Whoa, another giant blob of glue. Let's wipe most of it over here. There we go. Now let's find one of these chunks of something. This one's already got a piece of steel I-beam. This is just plastic I-beam you get from the hobby store for like your railroad kit work and stuff like that. Great stuff. Clipped a piece of it, hit it with a lighter, smashed it with my pliers, gouged at it with a craft knife, sawed and filed it just right, and it looks like it's been a burned out building. And of course I will paint it so that it is all rusted and gnarly and nasty looking. Let's see, I was thinking of trying to fit this jerry can in there somewhere. Let's make some uneven ground in between those rocks with a little bit of green stuff. And this is just 2-part epoxy, your typical blue and yellow make green. Being very careful with the knife today, as I do not have the dexterity I normally do. There we are. Excuse me. There is always, when this stuff sits on the shelf for a while, a little rock hard chunk right in the center where the two colors touch. And you will never be able to get that to mix in. So that you don't have that chunk in your work, I pull it out of there. And there we go. And that way you'll have good smooth green stuff. And a little touch of water. And there we go. Start mixing this together a bit. Green stuff is actually, I find, easier to work with than I thought. Especially if you're just doing something simple. Like in this case, we're going to make textured ground. I mean, we're not doing anything difficult here at all. And I've seen a lot of people use a lot of different tools. The best tools I've found to use is simply a pointed stick. You can make it yourself out of any little bit of dowel. You want a nice rounded edge, you want a nice flat edge, and you want a nice pointed edge. And then the other useful thing is eczema cream. It's wonderfully moisturizing, and when you put it on your tool does not stick to the epoxy. So this is just a cap from a water jug with a little bit of that in it. And we'll take a little chunk of this and we'll pop it into there. Dab a little onto the tool. And start filling up a gap. It doesn't have to be pretty. Again, I'm just looking to provide some sort of structure for the stuff I'm going to put down next. A little bit, not all that mixed together. Oh well. It will eventually set. Like I said, all I'm really doing here is creating uneven surface. There we go. just pull a little bit of it over the edge so that when it sets up, it holds that plastic jerry can down nicely. Press a little bit under it. There we go. Another chunk of something in the pile of garbage. Let's see. While that is not set and still pliable, see if I can smash some more stuff into there. Just a little chunk of plastic. But it looks almost metal, so add it into the junk. Oh, that trick using the wire is an excellent trick there. I pin things all the time with wire. One of the best ways to get some stability when you're kit bashing stuff, especially materials that don't like to bond together very well. A bit of paper clip in there as a rod is always kind of nice. Let's see. What else should we throw in there? Oh, I know what this needs. Oop, that needs some glue on that piece of grape. That's what it needs. That just came flying right off of there. Because I didn't glue it down. Excuse me. Oh, that's a neat idea for a joint. Hey, that's, you know what? You make do with what you've got. That's kind of the name of the game with this show here. I am making do with what I have, and what I have is a cell phone and the boom from an old fluorescent light with a magnifier in it, and the light broke. So I took all the lighting housing out and I bolted it to a WeatherTech cup phone, and I stuck my cell phone in it, pointed it all down, and here we are. You know, I haven't tried any of those speech to text programs yet. One of these days, I'm going to have to, when I'm not able to type any longer. But I've always wondered at that point how my speech is going to be, and I wonder whether or not the machine's even going to be able to understand me by that time. Let's see, what else should we add in here? I think just a big blob of glue and some more stones would be a good start. Try a couple of these larger ones. See if I can get something that sticks in there nice. Otherwise, I'm sure I can jam those into the epoxy while it's still a little soft. There we are. Where do I want this one? Press it in there nice. There we go. Oh, look, just a chunk of sawn-off plastic. That looks industrial in some way. Oops. Gotta watch whacking my head into this or the whole thing's just gonna collapse. Ah! There we go. This definitely needs something from the bottle of skulls. At least one. Let's see. Jawless or jaws. Oh, let's go full skull. There we go. A little nubbin from the sprue. And go down the mold line. And hopefully I can actually get through this one without it flying across the room on me, which they often do. My carpet has claimed many skulls in the name of corn. There we go. Nice and smooth. Excuse my cough. It's not like I, leave the house and go anywhere. If I picked something up, it was definitely from my wife, who is the only one who does. Though we are quite careful. She wears a mask everywhere she goes. I just don't go anywhere. Though when I do, I really wear a mask. I mean, I wear a powered air filtration respirator. Get a little glue on there and fix them down. Tuck that under the jerry can there. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we've got some pretty big chunks of stuff. We'll work on another one for a little bit and let some of that super glue cure. Oh, let's see. I'm at the next big one here. These are big 40mm bases for big guys like my kit bashed Ogren bodyguard that I'm working on. This is the guy I gave the big chunky platform boots to. He's going to be standing atop of this pile of rubble. So let's make some more rubble. What do we want to use? Let's take another chunk of this stuff. Whoa, that went flying. No worries there. I'm just going to take this pliers here and just kind of mash on this. There we go. Give it a nice smash. Can even gouge it up with a blade. Nice. There we go, just to make it look not nice. This was prelude to another project that I had started, oh God, 20 years ago and walked away from and found in my basement. And something had fallen on it and broken it. So I just took all the plastic pieces off of it and decided, this is all going to become something. There we go. Hold this down for a moment here just so it stays. Once I get a little epoxy and other glues and things like that around it, it'll fuse it all down nice. In the end, I'm going to take just white PVA glue and cover a lot of stuff up just to make it all kind of fuse together and look like a proper pile. And flatten that out very well. It's got a rounded bottom. There we go. I find this to be as relaxing as painting at times. It's just losing yourself in what a pile of rubble would look like. Oh, there we go. Some sort of electrical box. All right, and let's cooperate. There we go. Very carefully again, trying to get at the little sprue stuff, but I don't have to worry about it too much because there's going to be sand and gravel and garbage all around it. And when I paint it, it'll probably look burnt, rusted. Yeah, there we go. Give it a little twist like it's seen all kinds of horrible heat stress. Yeah, there we go. Now I'll save that for another chunk. Well, when all else fails, can always just take a chunk of sprue off. And make it look like it was something. There we go. Get some of this dust and stuff up. Okay, let's see. What other junk do I want to throw on? Actually, I think this is fine. Yeah, there we go. Nice big blob of glue. We'll go back over here. Just kind of painting a little bit of super glue all over. Trying to be neat and keeping it off the edges. Oops, and failing. A little bit of glue mark I'll have to clean up there. Oh well. See if I can get this open. There we go. Hey, David Wendler, I'm glad you could make it. I know it's really early there. It's really kind of a trick. I'm looking for the perfect time to do this where it's not too outrageously early for people out west, yet people in the UK and Europe can join and it's not late for them. Excuse me. All right. Just kind of using the cover here as a tray. Mash some of this into the glue so that it sticks. Today, as my hands are shaking a bit, I decided to work on the bases of some miniatures instead of actually painting them. So I have been taking pieces of plaster of Paris and various chunks of different sprue plastic that was leftover garbage or stuff I'm saving from the recycling bin, or in this case, a skull from the Citadel box of skulls. And then we're just putting layers of rubble together. Starting with biggest stuff first. And then going all the way down to fine sand quality stuff. Held down with PVA glue. It's a little cloudy here today. We got a little snow last night. Oh no. Excuse me. And now I start sneezing. Let's see here. The next thing I'll do, I'm going to take a piece of paper here so that I don't glue this to my mat. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of glue to hold this all down. First, where did I set that? There it is. Take a little bit of white glue, just your basic PVA. There we go. Get a few drops of water in here. Mix these together here so that it's a little thin. And we'll just soak into the top of what I'm going to do next. Next, we'll take the really fine stuff. go. Now this is just isopropyl alcohol. Just plain old rubbing alcohol, nothing special. Oops. And that was a really big drip of it. I do not need a lot. I just need this to dribble in, kind of soak down into there we go. And what the rubbing alcohol does is it evaporates quickly. And that creates a capillary action. When you take your glue here and you drizzle it onto the top, the glue soaks on in. There we go. Need to grab an eyedropper once. One of these days when I send my shopper to the hobby store. Now the alcohol, like I said, will cause all the white glue to soak down into that sand, and it will all bond into place real nice like. As you can see, hopefully you can see. Oops, if I don't destroy the entire setup we're working with here. These little drips soak nicely. Now, as this is, a very watery mixture, you're going to want to give this like quite a while to dry, a day, maybe two, before you try to prime it and paint it. Doesn't look pretty yet, but once this is all fused together nicely and you prime it, everything is one uniform color. It looks amazing. And then you paint it up. Hey, Jan Morgan, I'm glad you could come. Honey Bunny, excellent. I'm glad you were all able to make it. Hands are a little shaky this morning, so I am doing something other than painting. I am setting up bases for things I've painted. In this case, bases that look like battlefield ruins, ruined urban junk. Oh, dioramas are so much fun. I haven't built one in ages, but it's one of those things I can really get into. It really absorbs me into that project. I can totally immerse myself into a diorama. And it really doesn't matter the subject. But, of course I like sci-fi stuff and fantasy things a little better. But that's just me. There we go. So we've got this one done. And start adding more of that. Actually, I think this one needs a skull too. You just can't have enough skulls. Let's see if we can find a nice smashed up one. Oh, it is all right that you are late. I completely understand sleeping. We all need to get rest. Especially with everything going on around. There's just too much out there to catch. There we go. A jawless skull with a nice crack in the top. Perfect. The bottle of skulls. It's really amazing what a nice base does for your miniatures. Now, some of the things that I've got here are things I purchased, but a lot of it is not. And it's just junk. Or, plaster of Paris that I poured into the top of a plastic container and let set. Or little pieces of cork or washed gravel. I have a whole bucket full of washed gravel and sand that I just keep around for bases. All kinds of flock. Oh, I've seen a couple of dioramas from Aliens, and they look so nice. It's just one of those grim, dark settings that lends itself perfectly to building spooky stuff. All right, there we go. Let's get a little glue on that. Did you have snow where you are, Jam? We had a little bit of snow last night. Not enough to, get out the snowmobile, but it's better than looking at the brown yard. Come on, glue. Almost out with this model. I can tell I'm getting those last drops. Hopefully I'm getting those last drops. I am definitely staying warm, I tell you what. The cats are big babies about cold at all. So They want to cling to you when it gets just a little chilly out. And boy, are they clingy, I tell you what. I think they're both lounging on the couch with my wife at the moment, which is exactly what I was hoping for, because that keeps them out of my hair. Oh, I've seen a few really neat models, but I've seen a few people build them too. Check out MS Paints sometime. That guy makes some of the best dioramas I've ever seen. Dave is just amazing. And he can put a Gundam together like nobody. Oh my god. There we go. Oh, that's nice. I like it. Oh, snowstorm going today, huh? Footage. Ooh. Snowed in kind of situations. I love it up in the Sierras, though. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Just that whole Truckee area, everything around Tahoe. It's just beautiful up there. All right. Let's put a little more glue down, actually. Today, I am building bases for miniatures that I've painted. I'm going to be building a gaming table that's all snow-covered urban ruins. So what I'm making is urban ruin bases that in the end I'm going to give light coatings of snow and ice to. And they're going to be for things like Well, this one here, I specifically set up for my boy here that I made the platform boots for, so that he can stand upon a big old pile of rubble. While guarding the boss. As I was saying earlier, it's really amazing how nice your miniatures look when you've got even just a little bit of time put into a base. They really look great. And it doesn't take a lot of stuff. All of this stuff is plaster of Paris. Well, after I do the final step on these, they take a couple days to dry. At least a day to dry, because they really get soaked down with alcohol and white glue to bond all of this sand down, so that when it's painted, it just looks like uneven, broken ground. And then they don't take long to paint at all. A nice hour or so spent on them. You don't have to do a lot of highlighting. You just give them base coats and you wash them in dingy grays and browns in order to give them an aged look. Some lighter browns and oranges on the metal stuff to make it look rusty. And suddenly you look like you're climbing someplace you could get tetanus. Because in the grim darkness of the far-flung future, there is only tetanus. At least with all this broken rubble and stuff. So here I'm just taking super glue, because it's one of the best things for bonding down the larger pieces. And starting with big stuff first, like the plaster of Paris chunks and other things, like just scrap plastic from other projects and pieces of sprue that Space Marines came on. You can just pile up rubble. And this part, of course, makes a little bit of a mess, but not that big of a deal. I have been doing this since I was a kid. I think the first time I ever took sand and glued it down to a Space Marine base was 1987. maybe 88. No, it was 87. I'm almost sure of it. My first box of plastic Space Marines. And that was just, I used modeling flock from railroad grass and all kinds of stuff. And now they've got really nifty products for all kinds of miniature use. In the end, oops. I'll use some grass tufts to make some dead grass grown up through some of this stuff, along with the light dusting of snow that's going to go over the top of everything so that it looks like a snowed on, broken up battlefield. And again, we are taking the small sand. This is the lightest stuff I'm going to use. It's kind of hard to fix down to the base with some kinds of glue. So I lay it down without the glue first. Now there's other textured products that you can buy. Like, Citadel at least had some technical paints that had like sand stuff in the paint. And some of that stuff really works well. I rather like it. But I don't know how it sold well. I'm not seeing it for sale much anymore. Especially like Astro Granite Debris. That was one of my favorite ones. All right. Here we'll do this again with the white glue. Oh. So here we just have white PVA glue. And a few drops of water. So that it's nice and runny and will soak into all that sand. And just to give credit where credit is due, This is a trick I picked up from Dave from MS Paints. Until I saw him do it, I never in my life saw anyone use rubbing alcohol in the way he does. And it was brilliant. And I had to steal it. Because theft is the highest form of flattery. All right, and again, here we have just plain old isopropyl alcohol. Oops. Which we spray everywhere. No. You want to soak in so that as it evaporates, it pulls all the glue down from the top that you are about to layer on. And the capillary action from the isopropyl alcohol will just suck that glue right into there. Oops. This would work better with an eyedropper. Leave it to me, though, to just use what I have on hand because I didn't get to see my guy this week who goes to the hobby store for me. Hopefully, I will see him later today. That was way too much. But as it is white glue, it's easy to just wipe away. And then at least overnight, maybe 2 days. These take a little while to dry. Oops, I didn't hit that side. There we go. There. Okay, before this sets here, I don't want to lose the best detail on the whole miniature, the skull. There we go. Beauty. All right. I need to take a quick break because I realize I have been sitting here for almost 2 hours. I have not gotten up once. And I really need to do that. Oh, hip is killing me. So I am going to walk around the room because today I can. And I will be back in just a moment. And we'll call this intermission. I will be right back. Of course, now that my wife is back, the cats are all well behaved and passed out in the other room. Not like last week when they were trying to tear apart the entire room for me here. Running around the house at top speed. Ah, here we go. There, just had to take a quick walk to the kitchen and back. Stretch my legs. All right. I think these are going to be pretty good looking. I like where these are going so far. And this stuff is really messy. Definitely have yourself set up to clean up afterwards. There we go. I think this is going to look great. Oh, without the cat hair, though. Yeah, I think he's gonna stand on that pile pretty nicely. Now, eventually, the last thing I'm gonna do, once he's all painted and before I paint this, I am gonna drill into his feet and into the base. Actually, I just started last week doing this every Saturday morning. I'm going to do this every Saturday morning at this time. Some days I will paint. Some days I will just build stuff like this. But every Saturday in the morning, I will be here, and I'm hoping some people show up and join me. If you've got a project you want to work on with me, work on what you like. And if you want to work on the same sort of stuff as me, by all means, pull out the bases and base up some miniatures, or pull out some Marines when I'm painting a Marine and relax with me. It's kind of the name of the whole game here. We're here to relax, check out, and immerse ourselves in something completely different than life. It's a needed activity in this day and age, an escape. And I think this is one of the best ways for me to do it. It's very meditative and therapeutic. On days like today, when I can't really stop myself from moving because of screwy neurological condition, I can let go of that and focus on something completely different and just lose myself in work that is really enjoyable. Here's another style of base that I like to do, and that's little cobblestone. This is just a scrap of plastic that I don't even remember what it came off of, but I have been clipping little pieces off of it and dinging them up with a knife, taking off an edge here and there with a file. Easy stuff to start with your clippers. And you can use any kind of scrap plastic. It doesn't matter if it isn't the gray plastic from Citadel, like the soles of my Ogren buddy here's boots. I used this plastic here from an X-Acto blade dispenser. The bottom of the dispenser has these big spring-loaded tabs. So I just glued them to the bottom of his feet and cut it off with a jeweler's saw and filed them smooth. I think that's great, Powdered Toast Man. I would love to see what you come up with. Eventually, when I am not flying by the seat of my pants here and I have a better computer and camera, I'm gonna start trying to figure out Discord a little more so that I can have a way for you all to post what you're working on, and then I can put it up on my show and everyone can see what everybody else is working on, because I think that's a lot of fun. I've seen that on a couple of other shows, and I think it's really cool to have everybody inspiring each other in the hobby. Whether you inspire people with lore and your art, or you inspire people by just getting online and waffling about the game, it's all inspiration, and I love it. I started doing this, at least the stream, partly because I do this anyway. This is, like I said, it's therapy. Today it's occupational therapy. It's keeping my hand moving where my hand would not want to move. Some people, it's other kinds of therapy. There's a lot of people I know who deal with PTSD, who paint to let go of those nightmares that they just can't stop reliving, and that's an awesome thing. And I want to paint with those guys. I think it's a wonderful hobby, and I think it's a really great therapy. Art is therapy, whatever art you like. Hopefully, I'm not boring you all with the fact that I don't have something to listen to in the background. I kind of want to keep my stream quiet so that you all can put on what you like to listen to. I want you to inspire yourself to paint with whatever inspires you to paint, whether that's music you like, or the TV in the background, or a lore channel. There are some really awesome lore channels. Powdered Toast Man knows. Like a Border Prince or Luton. Oh, there's another nice chunk of something. Or what's another one I've been really getting into? Scholar's Lore. That's another really awesome one. Let's see, and all these are just arranging little chunks of broken up plastic, and some of them also can be from sprue. Don't need a saw or anything special, just your irregular clippers will do. I wasn't sure if people would be interested at first in a live painting stream. Because, it's kind of like a Bob Ross show. If you like to paint, it's an interesting show. If you're not interested in painting, well, it's kind of boring. But if I can find enough people who are interested in tuning in and just chatting, watching me paint, I hope it does help. I really do. I am not a licensed therapist or professional in any way, but I tell you what, man, I've wrestled with things in my life, and I know a lot of other people who have, and this is, like I said, a great way to let go of some of that stress. It's a great way to, when I wake up from a nightmare, walk in here, sit down, let go of the terror, and just lose myself in the painting. Even though moments before I thought something was choking me. Oh, Warrior Tear is another great. He's got a great voice. I really love the inspirational stuff he does. But Scholar's Lore, that one's interesting. At first, I wasn't sure what I thought of it because dude was using an AI with David Attenborough's voice, and it sounded really cool. But yeah, that's not entirely legally cool. But when he got his cease and desist, he reacted in exactly the right way and stopped doing what he was doing and completely changed his channel over. And now he's got another scholarly sounding voice, and it sounds really good. He does really well done videos. I really like what he's been doing. All right. Actually, I think I'm going to not do delicate knife work today because I don't want to bleed all over what I've been working on. Better idea, I think. All right. Actually, what time have we got? It's probably a good time for me to wrap this up for this week. Though I will definitely be back next week to do this. And I will definitely be working more on these. So, grab what you need to grab this week, Powdered Toast Man, and anybody else who would like to come and paint with me. And we can get some painting on. Ooh, one of these days, I gotta get a better setup with light. This phone works great, but not the best. There we go. Oh, this thing is just so janky, it's about to fall apart. That's probably a good spot for me to stop for the day, though. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today and joining me. And I hope to see you again next week. If this is the sort of thing that you enjoy, please like, subscribe, set up the messaging so that when I go live, you get a message, and share this with your friends. If you've got friends who enjoy painting and would like to lose themselves in some painting on Saturday mornings, let them know I'm here. And I will be here next Saturday as well. So everyone stay safe and healthy, and watch out for that COVID. That stuff's out there again. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.